Sam is here with me to look back at this. How damaging is this now for United?
Very damaging.
Amorim is adamant he won't change his system. I've heard those lines coming out of North London somewhere as well. But does he need to consider changing his wing-backs?
Well, it's a really interesting one because when Ruben Amorim's first game at Manchester United, which was away at Ipswich, he started Ahmad as sort of the right wing-back, and it was deemed a really good tactical tweak, and you know it was a good sign. Ahmad was getting in amongst the goals and assists, but then since then he's actually started playing Dalot and Mazraoui as his two wing backs, right and left. And what we can see here is that in 358 minutes where he has done that, Manchester United haven't got a goal at all. Whereas if they played Ahmad or Anthony on those in those wing back roles, they're much better attacking wise. So maybe that's a situation where Ruben Amorim has said, you know what, I've started with something, I've changed it, but now I've got to go back to it because, if you look at the games they've got coming up, they've got Liverpool away, Arsenal away, the next two games. Now, normally a manager would say, maybe I would play the more defensive players and maybe, stop goals going in the other end. But, maybe he should consider playing Ahmad in that wing-back role because certainly he's shown that Manchester United are better with that system in their team.
Yeah, you mentioned what was on the horizon. It doesn't get any easier for United, does it?
I mean, if you had to pick two games of football to not play, probably Liverpool away and Arsenal away on current form at the moment. Then you go to Southampton. Is that a relegation six-pointer? You never know. And then some mixed games coming up here. Manchester United need to beat Rangers in the Europa League even. So it's still a really, really important time. But the important thing here is that actually Ruben Amorim has got a week in the training ground now in the next two games to really sort of fix these, dilemmas and problems that he's got in his squad. He's been very vocal in saying he actually hasn't had those, full weeks of training, hasn't had the training time period to sort of fix what's going on at Manchester United. So maybe we might see a little bit of an improvement for these games, especially when now the pressure's going to be completely off Manchester United because nobody's really going to expect them to go get a result at Anfield, given not just United's form, but where Liverpool are at the moment. And also that Arsenal game in the FA Cup third round looks a pretty difficult tie as well. Do is look at the Premier League table at the moment and the bottom half of the Premier League at the moment. Manchester United in 14th place. They are closer to the relegation zone in terms of points than they are to the top seven, the European places. We're not even talking about top four. We're actually talking about the top seven and getting into Europe altogether. It's really, really damning signs for Manchester United at the moment. And, all you have to do is look at Manchester United's numbers, and it's not great either. This is Ruben Amorim's first full month in charge of Manchester United, and he's picked up 6 defeats. It's the first time that Manchester United have lost 6 times in a month in 62 years, September 1962. It has not been a very, very good start for Manchester United at all. It got off to a good start this month with the win over Everton, and then people were starting to talk about the top four and whether Manchester United can make a late charge. But since then, it's just not really been there. Obviously, the exception has been the Manchester derby win, but that probably tells you more about where Man City are at the moment rather than Manchester United's form.
Something in the air in Manchester, isn't it? 14th in the table going into the new year. Ruben Amorim saying that the relegation fight here. Is it that bad?
Well, they're currently on relegation form, particularly under Ruben Amorim. Since he took over, only the newly promoted sides have picked up fewer points in terms than Manchester United, and actually they're only above Ipswich on goals scored. And obviously Ipswich scored twice last night, so they're under pressure from that already. I mean, yeah, it's really not good at all. And obviously, Manchester City still the kings of Manchester, just despite being on a current plight themselves. I mean, could they really get relegated? I mean, the history book shows that they're 14th at the moment. Manchester United, only 4 teams have been relegated whilst being 14th at the turn of the year. So it is possible, but at the same time, the flip side is that we've had 32 seasons of the Premier League. 28 sides have been 14th at this stage and stayed up. So obviously, Manchester United realistically probably aren't going to get relegated. I mean, but it's still a brilliant, well, not if you're a Manchester United fan, but it's still a shocking story this season. What's going on there?
OK, more from Sam to come. You can see United's next game at Liverpool on Super Sunday. Coverage starts at 4 p.m. That's on Sky Sports Premier League.